So we'll call the meeting to order at 10:03. All those who are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do we have any public here for comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? All right, seeing none. Any additions to the agenda from the commissioners? No? All right, moving on to the meeting minutes. As long as they're okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting held January 14th.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting held on January 14th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to our third proclamation of 2025, recognizing a lot of numbers here, the 77th anniversary of the Marine Toys for Tots and the 38th anniversary of the Nittany Leathernecks Detachment Marine Corps League in Center County. And I believe we have Major Gene Weller plus a supporting crew here to talk about the organization and the amazing event you pull off every Christmas.
Well, thank you. Yes, we have Bob Johnson, our paymaster, and one of our key folks with Toys for Tots, and my wife Donna, that is pretty much you're aware, very instrumental in making it come together at the Penn Stater to get everything out the door and to where they all belong. But this year, we had 810 needy children identified by 5 county food pantries, and we, with the loss of Penns Valley, the New Hope Lutheran Church food pantry had taken over, helping with that. And the State College Food Bank, they send their folks directly to the unregistered site. Well, there were initially 810 identified, as I mentioned, by the other 5 food pantries, 359 grandparents, and the children got 4 items per child, and the grandparents, where they qualified, got 2 items per child. 808 children were provided toys, including with an additional 395 grandparents at what we call the unregistered site, donated space in Hills Plaza, for those folks that missed the cutoff date with the food pantries and those that otherwise would have been served by the State College Food Bank. Again, we had received $42,000 worth of toys directly from the Toys for Tots Foundation, what they call supplemental toys. And you don't get those toys if you have too many toys left over, too many funds in your account, or if you were giving 7 or more toys on average per child. They figure you don't need that support. So we managed to stay below those numbers and can anticipate getting that support again in the future. We were also, as of 5 years ago, had taken on assisting Mifflin County when they raised what we received from the supplemental toys. We saw that if we had too many, we wouldn't get them, and Mifflin County never having had any support for Toys for Tots. Again, 5 years ago, we were able to start sending them things, and so we were able to provide them 2,200 toys to about 800 needy children there. And they had also collected about 700 toys as their effort grows, and at some point hope they become autonomous, but at this point they're just continuing to grow. We also were able to collect 2,300 food items plus $75 in grocery store gift cards that we passed on as well to the food pantries. The remaining items were dispersed among 24 Center County social service agencies that supported an estimated 6,400 children. Over 300 businesses and groups, again, helped support our effort in 2024 with about 300 drop-off points for collection points in the 2-county area. And once again, we had a sufficient number of volunteers to make all of this work in a very efficient manner. I'm always looking at the weather as far out as I can go, because if the weather turns bad, then suddenly the whole plan sort of has to be revised. So fortunately we were good in that way. Altogether, well, actually the Toys for Tots Foundation, they look at books. 3 books equal 1 toy, 5 stocking stuffers count as 1 toy. On that basis, we ended up distributing about 17,000 items this last year. And had just also gotten on a national basis with 99% of all of the 853, I think it was, activities reporting in, that on a national basis, the value of toys and books collected was over $228 million, distributing 30,670,000 toys and books, assisting 12,797,000 children, and the number of at-risk children included 32 that we support here with the foster child portion of our program, but on a national basis, 519,000 foster children, and with over 48,000 volunteers across the country to make this whole thing work.
Wow.
Amazing.
So once again, Marine Toys for Tots. So any questions?
Probably more statements. Thanks again so much for everything Toys for Tots does, and thanks for not running the video. That one always chokes me up every breakfast. But the numbers are amazing. You mentioned there were 17,000 toys, stocking stuffers, and books distributed to, if I was doing the math right.
Well, it's actually would have been more than 17,000 when you look at the stocking stuffers that, I forget what was about 2,000 stocking stuffers? Okay, so divide that by 5 is toward that 17,000 number.
To over 800 children in Center County, almost 800 children in Mifflin County, and you said almost 400 grandparents.
Well, that excluded the 808 that were at the unregistered site, so it was over 1,600.
Oh my gosh.
Plus then, again, when we're looking at adding in the grandparents, that was another 750 some folks.
Wow. Tremendous. Thank you again so much for all that the Nittany Leathernecks and your hundreds of volunteers do every December to make this come together. And I know the human service agencies you work with are also very appreciative of having a few extra toys available when needed for some of the children.
Thank you.
Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, thank you for coming and giving us all this information about, how much was done this year. It's really an impressive effort every year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a
certificate
here for you as
Well, thanks.
Good.
Well, we'll have to
Yeah.
hold this one.
Great. Yeah, I think, we know how important it is for child development for them to have, toys that help promote creative play and imagination and problem solving. And I know so many of these toys that are going to these kids are, kids who might not otherwise have much of a holiday to celebrate. So it's really, I think, an impressive effort to show that our community cares about all of our kids. So, yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Dershowitz.
Well, no deference to Eugene. What I'd really like to hear from the brains of the outfit here and find out what Donna thinks about all this effort after how many years. If you probably step up to the mic so Gary can get you.
Great.
And Bob, if you've got anything to chime in, but
I can't top
she, well, and he can't top her, so.
I think one of the neatest things is that we don't see the kids, but we do feel the effort. One of the stories I think that still touches my heart is I was at the Wise grocery store, and I had a Toys for Tots jacket on, and this lady came up to me, and she was kind of gruff. She goes, "Are you with Toys for Tots?" It was after Christmas. I'm like, oh, great. She doesn't like the toys. What am I going to do? And I went negative, and I should never do this. And I said to her, yeah, my husband and I have been doing it for a number of years. And she said, "Can I give you a hug?" I thought, in the middle of the grocery store? I don't even know who you are. And she said, "My husband and I both lost our jobs, and we were going to not have a Christmas. Somebody said, contact Toys for Tots." She said, thought, what the heck, we're going to do it? Contacted Toys for Tots. She said, we not only got toys for our kids, she got food for our Christmas dinner. She said, we got assistance from the food pantries to basically help with our bills. And she said, now we're back on our feet. And the very first toys we buy and items we buy are toys for Tots and food for the food pantries. And, here we are. And she said, "Can I give you a hug?" I said, "Yeah, you can now." I didn't know who she was. But that's what it means. And then we have people that come out, to help us with wrapping or help us with sorting. And there was one lady there, and she was there she was there before we were there sometimes. She was there every day, and I said to her one time, I said, I'm really thankful for your help, but I said, just wondering what's spurring you on to help us so much. She goes, I got Toys for Tots for my kids when I thought there was nothing. And, you know, those are the reasons we do it. And it's Christmas for us, and just seeing all the people coming out to help, we don't even have to beg. I mean, people start calling us in the summer, do you have the wrapping dates? And it's like, not yet. We have to wait for Penn State to decide whether or not they're going to help us, you know, and give us the space. And we've been thankful they've been there to give us that, you know. And the other thing, too, we want to we have some toys that are left over, and we're trying to get the word out for fire victims, domestic abuse victims, that if you need something, call us. I can go out and find it because I have an inventory of everything that's in that room that we can supply needs. And we have. You know, we've had a number of times people call and said, Don, I've got 5 kids. They lost everything in a fire. What are you going to do? Can you do something for us? Sure. Just give me a little bit of time and I'll get it for you. And we're now out at the, what's it called? Army Reserve Center is our storage place. They've given us space that's free. So we don't have to pay for it like we were paying at the mall. So, but my big thing is I can't thank Center County for being such a supportive people around here just bend over backwards to help this program. And we've got a good county. So, thank you.
Thank
We
you, Don.
agree.
Thank you.
We agree.
Gene, Bob, thank you for
Yeah.
everything you've done. I know, I think on behalf of the commissioners, and I know Sheriff Samsel's a huge supporter, we all feel that what you're doing is so important. And so it really is what makes Center County great. And your efforts to accomplish these tasks year after year after year demonstrates the not only your commitment, but the Marine Corps League and so many other people that are involved in it that just make this all come together, and we thank you.
Thank you.
One of the almost 300 nonprofits in Center County, but I know the Nittany Leathernecks also do some other events through the year and support other groups additionally, so we appreciate that as well. So thanks again so much for everything you do for the, sounds like actually now a couple thousand children in Center County who might not have Christmas or gifts otherwise. Do you have a question, Gary?
Gene, back up.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, sorry. I get nervous on TV. Step back a second. You talked about working with food banks, you talked about Mifflin County. Is further regionalization or expansion of your program in the future?
That's not really what we are seeking here. However, until we had added Mifflin County, and even today, Juniata County is not supported. What I would love to see is someone step up in Juniata or Mifflin County, because even the Chamber of Commerce is jointly Juniata and Mifflin County, to go and volunteer and be recognized by the Toys for Tots Foundation to run a campaign. We would be able to still help support them, but they would then have their own collection boxes, their own posters, their own supplemental toys, but not really looking at expanding our own effort. That's not our goal.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Gary. Good
Well,
question.
I know it was a few years ago that the Marine Corps League had their state convention here at State College. Are they coming back anytime soon?
Not.
Is that a lot of work?
We don't have the support anymore that we used to have back in those days.
No.
You know, if we're down to a core bunch of people and we do just about everything. We couldn't handle a convention in our area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we probably could, but we'd struggle.
It'd be a project, okay.
We need more younger Marines to be joining us to be able to continue the effort.
Well, there's the call.
Our current commandant, he's a younger Marine, and he's been beating the bushes, and the young people are saying, well, I got family, and I got this and this. I really can't come and help. So it's a struggle.
We did when we had families.
Well, why don't you come on up and we'll present our proclamation and also we'll take action after the photo. How's that? Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Gene.
Come on over. One Weller on one side of Bellefonte, everyone on the other side.
Snuggle in there a little tight so we can all fit.
Gotta get you in there.
No, I'm right next to you here. Don't worry.
over just
Tiny
a
bit
tiny
for
bit
the
that
Amber?
way. Perfect, perfect. All right, 3, 2, 1, smile. Excellent business. Look at y'all.
Thanks again.
Oh, thank you.
We'll pass it, no, that's for yours.
Oh, thank you.
That's for you, you get to keep that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk to you very soon.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you.
We're a tiny bit ahead of ourselves. We will take a motion to adopt proclamation number 3, recognizing the 77th anniversary of the Marine Toys for Tots and 38th anniversary of Nittany Leathernecks Detachment Marine Corps League in Center County.
Yeah, I will happily make that motion.
And I will happily second it.
We have 2 happily motions and seconds. All those in favor of adopting proclamation number 3, recognizing the 77th anniversary of the Marine Corps Toys for Tots and the 38th anniversary of the Nittany Leathernecks Detachment Marine Corps League in Center County, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Great, thank you very much. Moving on to bids and proposals, Liz from Center County Planning has a letter of financial commitment to Center WISP in response to our broadband RFP solicitation. Liz has details, but I think Gary will want to pay special attention today.
Yes, I do have some details, and I just want to put this in a little bit of a context. The county released a request for proposals on September 24th, 2024, in advance of the PA Broadband Authority's BEAD program application. As a reminder, BEAD stands for Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment. The county's RFP was intended to find a project that the county could lend support to in building out internet infrastructure. The county's RFP closed on Friday, January 3rd, 2025. To further put this into context with the timing, the authority's BEAD application opened on November 22nd and closes on February 7th, 2025. So we see that there has always been kind of that timing issue in getting these projects to fruition. 2 proposals were received and evaluated based on internet technology, affordable service, overall project costs, and a project geography which aligns with the priority zones identified in the county's broadband strategic plan. Proposals were received from Comcast and Center WISP. Staff recommends supporting Center WISP's proposal because it offers fiber to the premises, 3 residential service packages that meet or exceed the definition of broadband service, and is targeting the Zone 1 priority area in southeastern Center County, also known as the Penns Valley region. Center WISP and the county will be in further discussions prior to the BEAD application submission to determine particular projects that are of top priority and what grant match support will make for a more competitive application. As you are aware, the BEAD application requires that 25% match. So to get any project to that level, can be cumbersome for a smaller company. That being said, I ask you to consider a financial commitment letter to Center WISP Venture Company in response to the BEAD RFP solicitation, contingent upon the grant award, but of course further negotiation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Liz, I do have a question for Gary. I believe it's not just Penns Valley, I believe it includes portions of Brush Valley as well. And I believe it will stretch as far out as the metropolis of Livonia.
Yes, so I had spoken to Dave, and he has kind of that larger scope of area that he wants to serve, from central Penns Valley out as far as he can go on both reaches.
So sort of the northern end of Penns Valley and into Brush Valley, and the southern ends of Penns Valley, where there currently is not much in the way of service.
Yeah, ideally, when he first came forward, he had 450 457 locations. He's identified 361 of those as being homes and 81 of those being businesses. And then there were like 15 locations that may be like more rural or more agriculture within his proposal.
Great. Well, thanks for those additional details, Liz. Thanks for all your hard work on this. It's been multiple years now, and I believe all the commissioners are in agreement for a letter of support and giving some level of financial support, but I think we still need to discuss the exact dollar figure here in the next couple days.
We do, and again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it all comes back to the timing, because today was the original application deadline for the state, and being that they extended that gives, Senator Wisp and the county a little bit more wiggle room to work out those details.
Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
Yeah, I was glad to see a proposal come in for this funding round, especially one that's looking to serve some really underserved areas of the county. And it sounds like, of course, we have some details to work out as far as exactly what the county commitment will be and which projects are priorities. But I'm glad that we're able to support, looking to get some broadband expansion from this BEAD money. It's been a real challenge over the past couple years. Like the timetable for this has kind of dragged longer than we expected, and some of the regulations around the funding has been different than we might have expected. But it sounds like Center County, compared to some of the rest of Pennsylvania, has been pretty well prepared to respond to this, though, in terms of having done the study that we did to ensure that we understood the most strategically important areas of the county that needed broadband funding, and then working with providers to make sure that we have applications going in that we can support. So, and thanks for all your work on this and planning to work, to make sure that we have proposals to submit. So.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well, I first want to let everybody know that we have money set aside from our ARPA funds, our allocation, and that's what we're looking to invest in this. But the other thing is, if you want to look at this in maybe a perspective, back in the 1930s, they had the rural electrification programs where they were sending out, electric service to underserved areas throughout the country. And I liken this to that. And it's an opportunity for us to provide service to maybe areas that financially don't make sense, if you will, from a business model. But we do recognize that there's value in making sure that some of these underserved areas are provided. And I think whether it's the Comcast program, it's going to be probably more updating folks that have service, but folks that have, literally, if you don't have Skynet or some other, one of the other,
Like
programs,
satellite?
satellite programs, they'll probably never get it if there's not some financial contribution provided by governments, and this is an opportunity to make that happen, and I think it's pretty exciting to see what we can do with the amount of money we have, and provide that service to folks that otherwise may not ever receive internet, and we all realize how valuable that is.
Yeah, great
Thank you for all
analogy.
you've done.
Great analogy, Steve, about the rural electrification. Internet is reaching the level where it's just about as important as electricity itself.
Right. Well, children can't learn. The education's based on it now. Commerce is based on it. There's so many elements that whether it's banking or something else, it's part of our everyday lives now. And I think we take for granted, those of us that have service take for granted, and we need to make sure that we get it throughout our county, as we did with 911 service and cell service.
Yeah. So, Gary, questions?
So where do we stand in terms of addressing the other regions of the county that were labeled underserved?
Well, so right now, under the BEAD, the incumbent carriers, even with that 25% match, they're going to be able to supply in-time service to where they need to. And we have had some level of engagement with both Comcast and Verizon, but it was very peripheral. But luckily, the BEAD is kind of set up a little bit different, Gary, that the county is broken out almost into these areas that a company can almost auction on. And that makes the process a little bit more streamlined. Now, that being said, even at the federal level, these BEAD programs, The companies aren't going to be required to build out for another 4 or 5 years. And that brings into what I've said from the get-go, not only the timing, but managing expectations. So at least with the Center West proposal, we know in the near term, in 1 or 2 years, there's going to be some activity on the ground from the BEAD.
Steve mentioned federal funding in place. You mentioned the federal level, just to put it out there. Is there any sign, any concerns with the new administration in the White House that the priorities will change here?
That I hope not. I mean, the monies have been committed. They are now at the state. There's $1 billion sitting at the state level. They have been 2 years in the works, putting together a Volume 1 and a Volume 2 strategic plan. So that being said, these monies, unless there would be some crazy act of Congress, these monies are directed to be put out into the rural areas where it's needed most. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. As Liz said, it might be a couple more years, but if this grant request is approved by the state, you might actually have gigabit internet at your house, hopefully while you're still living there. Tim, any questions? No? All right. Anything else? Looks like we could take a motion to approve the letter of financial commitment.
I'll move that we approve the letter of financial commitment to Center West Venture Company for the Center County BEAD RFP solicitation.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the letter of financial commitment to Center Wisp Venture Company for Center County's BEAD request for proposal solicitation. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and thank you so much, Liz. This has been pushing 3 years, I think. We've been working on this in one form or another.
In one form or another, from the comp plan perspective, it's been more like 6 or 7 years.
Right.
Believe it or not, so.
One last question. Do we have a suggested idea of when we will be hearing back about the success of this engagement?
I'm looking probably for this fall that they would actually make the announcements. And now the authority has indicated that this is only going to be the first round of BEAD. If they can actually do a second round, so I'm kind of crossing my fingers that might open up opportunities for the other technology that we're talking about. That, the first round has been focused so much on fiber, but maybe for those more hard to serve areas, it could be done through like the fixed wireless or maybe like the low orbit satellite technologies. So,
Great. Well, thanks for the additional detail, Liz. Appreciate it.
all right, thank you.
And now Jonathan from Facilities will come up for a whole bunch of different items.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm asking for your consideration and approval to advertise the request for proposals for the courthouse annex building envelope project. This project includes 500 feet of repointing brick and mortar, removal and replacement of caulking around windows and doors, painting of all of the doors and windows, as well as replacing the glass in 4 windows due to the argon escaping between the layers.
Yeah, I know it might seem like yesterday when the county took over the courthouse annex, but it's actually been a number of years now. I think that's before your time, isn't it, Steve? Not quite?
No, we did that.
You did that, maybe early on.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But-
And this is below the bidding threshold, correct?
No, this would be a request for proposals to go to bid.
Yeah.
Okay, because I said,
Yeah, that's some of the later items. Jonathan's got a lot on the agenda today.
all right.
So, it needs to be done. Got to keep the county buildings up, and when our average building age is like 80 or 90 years old, it's just constant.
It is.
Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
Yeah, no, I'm just glad that we're moving forward with this because this will maintain the integrity of that building for some years to come.
Commissioner Dershow?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
So I'll move to approve advertisement for the Center County Courthouse Annex Building Envelope Upgrades RFP.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve advertisement for the Center County Courthouse Annex Building Envelope Upgrades RFP. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move into contracts, and I think all told, Jonathan's got 4 more of those.
Yes. I'm asking for your consideration and approval for change orders for coordination requirements between GM McCrossin and Ainsworth Incorporated at the Community Services Building. These total $27,952.50. The next one is a change order with TMG Builders from the Courthouse Building Envelope Project. This is to replace the concrete and sidewalk stairs in front of the monument. That is approximately 622 square feet or 69 yards of concrete. That change order totals $20,346.35. The next item is a second change order with TMG Builders for replacement of 9 broken storm windows and 6 9-foot sections of the rotten molding that was at the top of the courthouse. This change order totals $10,500.
Great, thanks for covering those items, Jonathan, and obviously a lot of background work.
Correct.
To work with contractors and come up with scopes and get pricing on that. So
Yes.
appreciate all the extra work, and obviously, as we just mentioned, it's a constant battle to keep everything in good working order.
Yes, we try to make everything look as best as possible and keep the buildings in the best shape we can.
Commissioner Concepcion, anything on the 3 capital projects?
No, sounds good. I think this might be the first time that we're talking about the community services building.
Yes.
In a meeting with that new name that we're going, that's the old Center Crest building that we are remodeling to be our community services building. So,
We felt the human services name was a little limiting.
right.
This
It's
is a
gonna be
little broader.
Mhm.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
Okay, then I'll move to approve capital projects items 1 through 3.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 3 capital project items. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. And Jonathan, you have one more thing for us.
Yes, my last item is asking for your consideration and approval of a contract with Cutting Edge Tree Professionals to remove 6 red maple trees that are in front of the courthouse. Currently, one of the trees is deceased. It has some diseases that limit it from being rejuvenated. The other 5 have some issues with tree roots, and they likely have the same disease. So I'm asking to remove those trees and grind the stumps. That contract total is $2,800.
Yeah, we appreciate the very reasonable bid from Cutting Edge Tree Professionals, and we'll miss those trees, but as you mentioned, one of them is already deceased, and the other 5 probably have the same disease at this point.
Yes.
And so we'll need to do something soonish and work on replacing those in the not-too-distant future.
Yes, once the trees are removed, I will work with some arborists to plan the best replacement of those trees. Our conservation district is at the top of my list.
Great. Commissioner Concepcion?
Yeah, no, I mean, we always want to keep the trees we have if we possibly can, but, this is something that has to be done in this case, so.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
The only other thing I would tell you is the last time these trees were removed, there's a local craftsman who actually made a lot of artistic designed little features
Yeah.
with those trees. So if we could have a conversation with the arborist to maybe connect those dots up, that we can preserve the memory of those trees through some craft projects, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Great idea, Steve.
Well, I know who to contact.
Very good.
Good.
Get the number to Jonathan then. Great. All right.
Okay,
Unless
then-
there's any questions, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the contract with Cutting Edge Tree Professionals LLC.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Cutting Edge Tree Professionals. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Norm from 911 Emergency Communications with a contract with Mission Critical Partners.
Good morning. Please consider approval of a contract with Mission Critical Partners to provide professional support services to manage our second round of capital improvements projects for our tower sites and radio system. MCP will be working with the vendors, obtaining proposals and quotes, assisting with vendor evaluation and selection, and evaluating the findings from the radio system testing. MCP responsibility will focus on the remaining 9 tower sites, working with vendors on the radio system and tower building infrastructure and infrastructure testing, replacing the remaining building roofs, ice mitigation, evaluating the testing results, and developing any corrective action plans needed based upon the testing. The contract total is not to exceed $45,000 for the period of January 1 through December 31st of 2025.
Great, thanks for covering that, Norm. The equipment involved in total is worth millions and millions of dollars. And I think sometimes Center County citizens forget that Center County is larger than the land area of the state of Rhode Island, and we have portions of both the Appalachian and Allegheny Mountains in our county. So it takes a tremendous amount of effort to provide radio service to all of our emergency responders in an area of that immense size.
We have 19 tower sites today, hopefully have a few more in 2025.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Commissioner Concepcion, comments or questions?
Yeah, this is important work to keep these maintained.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
It's all good.
All right.
I will move to add the contract with Mission Critical Partners to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the contract with Mission Critical Partners to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you.
And now Chris from Planning has a memorandum of understanding for what I think is a new subdivision.
Thank
So
you. Good
you're the
morning.
one with the map this morning.
Yes, I am the one with the map this morning. Before I get into the specifics about the MOU that's being presented today, just a quick reminder of what the MOU that is being considered today is. And this particular memorandum of understanding is a 3-party agreement, and that's between a developer, the township, in this case Potter Township, and the county, whereby the developer agrees to reimburse the township for the costs associated with the township engineers processing, reviewing, inspecting, and approving the engineering details of the plan. So the board isn't here actually approving the plan, they're simply approving the contract whereby the developer will reimburse Potter Township's engineer for the review and approval of the engineering details.
Looks like we lost the map there
You
for
did.
half a second.
Yeah. But while we wait for, it is.
Little tiny P in the lower left-hand corner. There we go.
You hit from beginning on the upper left hand. There you go.
Okay, so sorry about that. And now the memorandum that's being presented today, or once processed by the applicable parties, this is the Decker Valley Road subdivision, and it represents a final plan showing the subdivision of tax parcel 20-9-72A, and it contains 44.07 acres into 14 residential lots along with corresponding infrastructure. And where it's located is about 3/4 of a mile east of its intersection with the 322 local road. And you make your way on Decker Valley Road about 3/4 of a mile, and you're going to make your way to the site. And then the proposal that was prepared by Pantera Engineering is up on the screen. And it shows 7 lots on the north side of Decker Valley Road, with 5 of the lots serviced by the private street. Similarly, there's 7 lots on the south side of Decker Valley Road, with 5 lots being serviced by the private street, and the 4 lots that I'm circling are all going to be accessed directly from Decker Valley Road, with stormwater management occurring primarily on Lot 7, with portions on Lot 6, and then a swale on Lot 9, with on-site water and on-site sewer.
Can you go back to the map?
Sure.
Trying to place that, is that Potter's Mills toward the upper left-hand corner?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So this is sort of on the edge of the Seven Mountains region.
It is,
now.
and then the Seven Mountains Winery is about right in there.
Okay, all right. That'll probably help place it for a lot of people then. All right. Because you'd see the multiple mountain ranges in there from the dark colors. All right. Good.
I see
Good.
one of those one of those lots is what, 8 acres or something like that?
Correct. It's
It's gonna be some nice.
Lot 11. Now, there is some grades to it, but that's the largest lot. Most of them are about 2 to 3 acres in size.
And that'll be probably fed by septic, I presume.
Yep, they're all on-site water and sewer, and soil testing has been conducted, and primary and replacement sites have been found on each lot.
Okay.
And of course, the memorandum of understanding is basically where the developer is promising basically to pay the township and the engineers, et cetera. The county itself doesn't have a whole lot directly to do with
Just
these.
to pass through.
Yeah, correct.
Be a
Commissioner-
nice development.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, no, looks good.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
No, good to go. Thank you.
All right. Any
Oh.
questions from the press?
What triggers the necessity for an MOU? I mean, there's a lot of development throughout the county. What specifically with the projects you come in, what's the specifics?
Good question, Gary. When there are the developments or any proposal that is involved with engineering details that involve like stormwater management, erosion, something like a private street, if this proposal came in and all the lots were on a public road where there wasn't any engineering involved with it, then there would not be the necessary for the MOU. Just when there's engineering involved. Usually when stormwater is involved in a private street or even public street for that matter.
Thank you.
Good question.
All right, then I'll move to add the MOU for the Decker Valley Road subdivision to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the MOU for the Decker Valley Road subdivision to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, now it looks like we have a bit of a team here. Ray and Mike, and I think Jim was on there, I don't know if he's in the room today. The memorandum of understanding with the Center Region Planning Agency.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. Annually, I come in front of you for the memorandum of understanding with the Center Region Planning Agency, which establishes joint rights and responsibilities of each party. The other party would be the Center County Planning and Community Development Office in completing transportation and project development activities on behalf of the MPO in Center County. The MOU total is $371,526 with a county contribution of $275,624 for the period of January 1st through December 31st of 2025. Part of this is an incurred cost as well, where we bill our time working on transportation projects in the amount of about $95,902. That includes my time, Liz's time, and a couple of years ago we included the GIS department in this because they go out and collect vital data for the highway performance maintenance system throughout the warmer months. So this is all part of that, and here today Mike Tilk is with the Center Region Planning Agency and the MPO. Might want to say a few words about the MOU as well. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Ray. Nice to meet you, Commissioner Dershowitz. I know the commissioners are well aware of the work of the MPO. As I start my second full year here, I've seen from day one the value of the relationship that we have between the county and the Center Regional Planning Agency to carry out the county-wide transportation program to complete those federally mandated projects. This year, I've been really excited. We're out in all 35 municipalities gathering feedback on wish list projects, safety prioritization from all those municipal bodies. Just last month, I was in Boggs and Miles as an example, and we're hearing some great feedback from all 35 municipalities. Our team will be before this board in a similar capacity in the coming weeks. Some of the other things, we're looking forward to continuing our grant program. We're in the first full year of that, having one major success last year of over $190,000 with that. We're hoping to build upon that success in this year. With that, I'll limit it to that. As you're all aware of what the MPO does through the MOU, we're looking to continue that in the coming year. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mike.
Before you
Thanks,
leave,
Ray.
Mike,
Yeah.
just one quick question. How's the project? I know there's we had talked, I guess it was last year, about the bridge replacement on Route 80. How's that project?
Yeah, the high-speed interchange.
Oh, yes. Moving forward.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. But you did bring up an item that relates directly to our projects committee, which looks at building an efficient rating system as we prioritize future projects going forward. So I'm really excited about that as we don't have members probably serve as long as they have in the past. We're looking to really memorialize that list so it's not just off the top of somebody's head in the future for some of those larger projects we want to accomplish here in the county.
And I see the I-80 and high-speed interchange is coming along at the other end of the valley here that, see, they have some of the access roads shut off and
Yes.
constructions, it looks like it's at full gait right now.
They are moving forward. And I will send to your administrator exact dates for that. I don't want to speak off topic on that on the record.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sure.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ray. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
No, so one of the new joint ventures we have is this projects committee, and you mentioned the prioritization process, and I think that's already been able to bear some fruit in looking at the bridge in Snowshoe for the Route 80 connection there, and that's one of the first projects that we're putting forward for grant applications. So we'll see what happens with that, but it seems like, the approach that we're having now of trying to make sure that we have pretty clear criteria for how we're prioritizing projects so that we're able to take advantage of these grant windows is hopefully going to bear some fruit for us. So
We have quite an agenda for you at the next projects committee
Okay.
meeting, I'll say that.
good to hear.
Commissioner Dershowitz, anything to add?
No, I think he actually did a great job of explaining the two things I had some concern about. Thank you.
Great. All right. Unless there's anything else, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the MOU with Center Region Planning Agency pending final solicitor review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the MOU with the Center Region Planning Agency pending final solicitor review. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Ray and Mike. Appreciate it. Now we'll move on to Chad, who has two separate items for us.
Good morning. The first item I have today is a contract addendum with Civic Plus to provide interior banners on several of our pages. Every 5 years, Civic Plus gives us the opportunity to do a complete overhaul and refresh of our website. So we're in the middle of that now. The interior banners, this addendum gives us an opportunity to highlight some specific pages with certain images that are static on those pages instead of scrolling across, making those pages a little bit more accessible and easily identifiable for the citizens trying to navigate our website and that are looking for information. So this is a one-time cost for 8 of those pages.
Great. Thanks, Chad. Yeah, there's a ton of information on the county's website, and sometimes banners let us highlight something that people are most interested in. Commissioner Concepcion, anything on that item?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to make it navigating the website easier. The one question I have is, do they ensure that it's ADA compatible in terms of, so that these banners aren't just images that aren't readable for people with who need to use readers?
Yeah. When we're selecting the images.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Sorry to interrupt. When we're selecting the images, we'll make sure that they meet the ADA compliance. If they have any words on the specific images, we'll make sure those are kind of like an alt text, so screen readers will be able to read those words for those in need.
Great, thank you.
Yep, great question. Commissioner Dershowitz, anything?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right.
Then I'll move to approve the contract addendum with Civic Plus.
We'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract addendum with Civic Plus. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. And then, Chad, you have another item involving sign language.
Yeah, so this is a contract renewal with sign language specialists of Western PA. They'd be available to provide interpreter services if requested during public meetings. We started a contract with them last year. The rates would be $72 an hour with a 2-hour minimum, and we asked the contract total not to exceed $1,500. This service is available but was not used last year. So.
Great. Thanks, Chad. That was going to be my question. Did we actually use it last year? But at least
It was not used, and we don't pay anything unless it's used. So.
Commissioner Concepcion?
Good that we have this so that they're available when needed. Yeah.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right.
I'll move to add the contract with sign language specialists of Western PA to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the contract with sign language specialists of Western PA to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Now, Julia, there she is, has 4 different items for us requiring 2 motions for the super department, mental health, intellectual disability, early intervention, drug, and alcohol.
Good morning.
Morning.
So my first is consider approval of a letter of agreement with Ben Darling, PhD, LLC, to provide psychological testing services. This is for our intellectual disabilities department. The testing would be IQ testing and then also doing some adaptive behavior scales with our ID clients. The contract total is $15,000, with the state share being $14,308 and the county's match being $692.
Great, thanks, Julia. Any questions on that one from either commissioner? No? All right.
Then I'll move to approve the letter of agreement with Ben Darling, PhD, LLC.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the letter of agreement with Ben Darling, PhD, LLC. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. And then there are 3 contracts.
Right. So the first is a contract addendum number 1 with Skills Incorporated to provide some additional funding, primarily in the mental health department's use of the peer support services have seen an increase, so we'd like to increase their contract total to allow for those services. The next is for IFC Services Incorporated to provide intellectual disability services, including respite, in-home community supports, overnight respite, and transportation. Currently have an individual staying there where we're paying for the respite services, although we did just become aware that he was accepted on the waiver, so he will continue to reside there. So that contract total is the state share being $71,542 and the county's match being $3,458. And then finally, is a contract approval for a contract agreement with SpeakRight to establish transcription services for case management and administrative staff. So this is for, it's pay as you go. So they like to offer this to some of their staff as a way to help some people catch up and maybe stay on top of things. And so it's a limited amount for now for $3,000. If it goes well and they want to, put some more money towards that, we'll come back. If it's not used, sometimes things seem like a really great idea, and then for whatever reason, people don't really attach to it. So I think they're just kind of testing the waters here. Cambria County uses this program currently and is successful with it.
Great. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
Sounds good.
Commissioner Dershowitz? All right.
I'll move to add the MHID, EI, DNA items 2 through 4 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add items 2 through 4 for MHID, EI, drug and alcohol to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks,
Thank you.
Julia. And we have a very short consent agenda.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We've got a check run dated January 17th. Commissioner Concepcion.
Yeah, the check that I'll recognize on the check run this week is to the Center County Youth Service Bureau. They're one of our really important partners in servicing at-risk families and providing prevention services in schools as well. And with that, I would move that we approve the check run dated January 17th, 2025.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated January 17th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. John, do we have an administrator's report today?
Nothing to report at this time. However, on the 28th, I will be bringing the 2024 fourth quarter report to you.
Oh, thanks. Great. All right, moving on to reports and announcements. Do we have a voter's registration
do.
report? Okay.
So on this week's voter registration report, we have 101,799 total voters on the report. That's up 76 from last time. Of those, we have Democratic voters, 41,379, Green Party, 161, Libertarian, 560, Those with no affiliation, 15,489, and Republican voters comprising 42,165. All of the other minor parties comprise 2,045 registered voters. Our precinct of the week this week is Walker Township East. This is precinct 83. There are 1,235 registered voters at precinct 83, and they had a voter turnout of 84.4% at the last election. They vote at the Walker Township Fire Hall in Howard, and we'd like to thank the Fire Hall for the use of their space.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Concepcion. Do we have any executive sessions to report or to hold, John?
None to hold. There is one to report. The Board of Commissioners met on January 15th from 1:10 p.m. to 1:32 p.m. to discuss a personnel matter.
Great, thank you, John. Our public meeting schedule, on Thursday, the 23rd, we have a combined salary board and Board of Commissioners meeting at 10. As John mentioned, on Tuesday, the 28th, we have the Board of Commissioners meeting at 10. And on Thursday, January 30th, we have the Finance Committee at 9. Any additional questions from the press this morning?
John, can you give us an update on work at the Community Services Building? I haven't think of the name. Where does construction stand right now?
So they're moving along nicely on the interior. The top and first floor, second and first floor are getting the paint and carpet at this moment, and work continues on the ground floor, which would include the elections department as well as some of the other facility areas. We are also looking to do some additional work in the parking lot, obviously when the weather breaks, but the design work is underway right now to create a little bit of additional parking on the site.
Anticipated later this year, there will be...
For the parking, yes. Yeah. We're still on track to have things completed by May, June timeframe, and then have move-in completed July.
Knock on wood, but so far so
Yeah, I don't want to jinx that one.
And I think it's reasonable to say that we will have a opportunity for the media to go in and take a look around before too much longer. We have you have a chance to see the progress as it goes. Oh, well, of course that, but we won't probably have it stocked to your specifications. We'll be getting close.
There will be an open house.
One other question, is there anywhere the county compiles or anywhere on a website the list of warming centers that the county would have? Not, I know county doesn't operate any, but churches or whatever that are opening centers, is there anywhere listing?
I don't know that off the top of my head. We do track that through our human services, though. We work directly with those centers. I can get that for you.
Yeah, JJ, if we could send that as a press release as well, I think that's a great question and a great idea, because it is awful cold out there right now.
I know generally it's left up to churches or individual facilities or whatever. We've had some reports of power outages overnight, so the temperature drops quickly in some neighborhoods.
I believe some fire stations have also helped out from time to time.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Anything from Tim?
Yep, I had a couple questions.
Yeah.
It's about the Lou agreement with Penn State. Where are we in the process with that?
As reported at an earlier meeting, we were very close to having a new agreement in place, but we ran out of time at the end of the year, so the commissioners and Penn State agreed to a 180-day extension into 2025 to allow additional time to button up a new agreement. So we're anticipating something here in the coming weeks.
Are you able to give any sort of specifics on what's in that agreement?
Not at this time. There, what I could say is that there was nothing out of the ordinary that was contemplated or proposed.
And just talking hypothetics here, if that doesn't go through, how would that impact the county?
We wouldn't have as many cars to drive.
Yes.
We're confident that we're going to get a new agreement in place. Both sides are comfortable and happy on where we're currently at with the discussions. So I'm confident we'll get there.
Question for you. Obviously, the last agreement was temporary. Are there any talks about this new one being permanent?
No, there was no, that was not a part of the discussion as far as a permanent agreement. There's a time frame proposed.
Great, thanks, Tim. Unless there's anything else, I think we could take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second at 11:03. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks, everyone.